Um, Once again, we'll try this again. So good afternoon and welcome to the inaugural Sustainability Commission meeting. Due to the evolving situation with COVID-19 novel coronavirus and health recommendations from the LA County Health Department, the Sustainability Commission meeting will be available to the public electronically. Due to social distancing requirements, the public will not be able to attend the meeting. The public is encouraged to watch and participate from the safety of their homes to practice social distancing. The meeting can be viewed on local cable, Charter Cable Channel 6, and AT&T Uverse Channel 99. The meeting will be streamed online at www.glendaleca.gov. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. With that being said, the meeting will come to order. First point of order, I know it's not on the agenda, but I'd just like to welcome the City Manager and ask him to address the new Sustainability Commissioners.
Thank you, David. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Congratulations on your appointment. You have all been handpicked by the Mayor and Council members. And I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for volunteering your time to this very important commission. And you're going to have a full plate of work and tasks that will have a lasting impact. And I reassure you that together and in partnership with staff and the community, I'm confident that we'll be able to achieve the goal of improving the quality of life and the environment for the community, for the region, and for a small part of the world that we live in here. Again, congratulations. I have come to know 4 of you over the years here, and I'm looking forward to working with you and getting to know you, Aline. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet you. It's an exciting day, like David mentioned. This is our inaugural first ever Sustainability Commission meeting, and you're all part of it, part of the history. And I'm going to leave you in good hands of David Jones, who we've already met and worked with, our first sustainability officer, and the rest of the team that will introduce themselves and do a recap of their responsibilities in this arena and some background and history. And I'll try to come back at other occasions when we have some significant item of discussion, and I'd like to be part of that. With that, thank you very much again. Congratulations and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rubik. So with that, we'll take roll call. So Commissioner Bart Rosuf.
Here.
Commissioner Kartunian.
Here.
Commissioner Kahajian.
Here.
Commissioner Pinkerton.
Here.
Commissioner Werner.
Here.
Thank you. With that, we have a quorum. I'd like to ask Katie Ross to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you, Katie. Item 1C on the agenda, report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for the March 11th, 2021 meeting of the Sustainability Commission was posted on March 5th, 2021 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Agenda item 1D. As the City Manager just mentioned, we thought we'd take the opportunity to let city staff introduce themselves to you, the new commissioners, talk about the department they're from, introduce some of the work that they're doing regarding environmental and sustainability initiatives within the city. This would just be a brief introduction of the staff, and as you get to work with the Commission over the next year, I'm sure you get to know them and a lot better, but we just thought that'd be a nice way to begin. So I will call upon the staff members and they will, as I said, introduce themselves. So Mr. Imrani.
Good afternoon, commissioners, and congratulations on your appointment to the Sustainability Commission. I look forward to working with you. My name is Yazdan Emrani. I'm the Director of Public Works. And here in Public Works, we have 4 major divisions. We have our engineering division, which is design, construction, inspection, and traffic engineering. We have our facilities and fleet division, our integrated waste management, and transit. And we do a large number of sustainability projects that we have started and are involved with. We have our Green Business Certificate program that's run out of our integrated waste management. Of course, we have our recycling center. We are looking into things such as electrification of our fleet. We are looking at SB 1383 implementation, the solid waste franchising of our commercial and multifamily residential units. So we do quite a bit in the realm of sustainability. And again, we look forward to continuing that work with this commission. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Yazdan. Maurice, please.
Hello, everyone. Congratulations, commissioners. My name is Maurice Olatigera. I work in Glendale Water and Power. So kind of like Yazdan, it's a little bit simpler for me to introduce what we do. I think most people know we are in the business of serving water and power. So on the electric side, it's a few brief little program notes. I think most of you know that we've got approval for the virtual power plant, which is going to be approximately 30 megawatts of kind of renewable rooftop solar power that's going to be going in. So that's kind of exciting. Also, we had a very successful, for those of you that live in some of you may have taken advantage of these programs on the residential side, getting credits for buying, low energy using fixtures, LED lights, etc. Recently, we're expanding that program to our commercial customers. So that's kind of exciting. Recently, we hired a consultant to look at the feasibility of installing solar panels on some of our city-owned property, not only solar, but also energy storage devices. So they're in the middle of doing that work. We're hoping, like, for example, let's say we have a large reservoir, it's taking up a lot of space. Maybe we could put some solar on there and maybe some battery storage. So kind of exciting stuff. On the water side, one big program that we've been doing for a little bit longer than expected is a Superfund site. The San Fernando groundwater basin is contaminated with chromium. And it was supposed to be a 10-year kind of, introductory evaluation program. And that's been going on for a lot longer than 10 years. So as we all know, for every 1 gallon of water that we're able to clean up and remove the groundwater, that's 1 less gallon of water we need to import across the desert, pumping water into the into the Glendale. So that's kind of exciting. And with that, I will turn it over to David. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Maurice. Thank you very much. Next, our wonderful intern, Katie Ross.
Hello, commissioners. My name is Katie Ross. I am the sustainability intern, as David mentioned. So I basically just help in any tasks that he would like me to do. I think the main responsibility I've had over my 10 months at Glendale is starting the food recovery program and seeing that out, as well as SB 1383 onboarding and instruction for that. I've also helped David with kind of the city facilities plastic ban and writing that out. And I've just been doing several online campaign programs for the sustainability office. And that pretty much is it.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Jeff Ragusa.
Hello, commissioners. My name is Jeff Ragusa. I am the fire marshal for the Glendale Fire Department. Welcome. A couple of things that we've been doing on the operational side, which is the engines and the trucks that you see on the streets. We have initiated and procured a pump pod, they call it, where prior to utilizing the pump pod, when we do our training, we will expel up to 1,000 up to even 2,000 gallons per minute, utilizing different training for our engineers and our firefighters. Well, this new pump pod actually recycles that water, so it's no longer discharged into the storm drain. Another thing that we've done, we just completed a burn building, as opposed to our past burn building and most other burn buildings in the area for training. Our new burn building utilizes natural gas. Also, as a fire marshal, I am over the Environmental Management Center, which is located over there on 780 Flower Street. And as part of the Environmental Management Center, we collect household waste, which is basically the household waste that all of our residents bring to us on Wednesdays and Saturdays. We have an outreach on one Thursday a month where we go and procure the used oil from our community and process it correctly. And then we also manage, regulate, and inspect all of the businesses within the city of Glendale that either utilize has waste as management or use some sort of industrial waste within the process of their businesses. Very happy to be part of this commission or part of this group, and I appreciate your guys' dedication to this cause.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Craig. Greg?
All right, sorry about that. Hello, commissioners. My name is Greg Kaijo. I'm the Innovation Project Manager for the city's Department of Innovation, Performance, and Audit. It's an honor to be here today. Our innovation team is kind of like an internal consultant at City Hall, helping collaboratively solve challenges and modernize through research, data, and design. I personally have a background in environmental consulting, so it's great to mission come together. Our department is hosting a partnership between Glendale staff and Bloomberg Philanthropies to address recovery in anticipation of SB 1383, which, among other things, requires less organic waste to end up in local landfills. We see a lot of synergy between innovation and sustainability, and we hope to continue working in the future.
Great, thank you, Greg.
David, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'd like to introduce you, Gillian. I apologize.
Hi. I'm Jillian Van Meidenhunt, one of the two chief assistant city attorneys for the city of Glendale. I will be the principal legal advisor to the commission and providing David with legal backup and support. As a chief assistant city attorney, my role within the division is to manage the transactional attorneys. So those would be the attorneys that are advising the various city departments. And I'm familiar with the work that they do for the departments, such as Public Works, GWP, Building and Safety, Division of Community Development. My background is principally in land use. I provide legal advice to the various departments on their own projects under the California Environmental Quality Act and land use entitlement. I'm also a member of the League of California Cities Environmental Quality Committee, have been so for the last 3 years. And that committee, as you may or may not be familiar, reviews annual legislation on a wide variety of topics that pertain to environmental quality, not the least of which is recycling, water quality, housing, as well as California Environmental Quality Act. So I will be, again, assisting the commission, and congratulations on your appointment. I look forward to working.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Julian. Dan Hargrove.
Good evening, commissioners. I'm Dan Hargrove. I'm the Assistant Director of Public Works. I oversee the field services divisions for Public Works, which includes maintenance services. Some of the areas of interest in maintenance services, it's basically street infrastructure, but we oversee all of our urban forest. That includes park trees and street trees, as well as our indigenous tree ordinance. I actually started my career with the city as an urban forester, so I have a kind of a background there. As well as wastewater, sewer and storm drain maintenance. And of course, integrated waste management is my other division, which has a lot of activities going on of interest to you. And we've been working very hard to transition our operation to in line with the state mandates, all of the state mandates, the most recent one being SB 1383, which we are deeply involved in transitioning to, as well as the commercial franchise question that's still out there to be determined. And of course, that's pretty much my scope of work, and welcome you, and look forward to working with you.
Likewise.
Thank you very much, Dan. Bradley Calvert, please.
Great, thank you, David, and good evening, commission members. I am Bradley Calvert. I'm the Assistant Director of Community Development. This is overseeing our planning operations. Part of our department also includes housing and community development, as well as economic development. We have a number of different initiatives, and really on our day-to-day work, we are significantly intertwined with sustainability. We know that we know that buildings, and we know that automobiles and transportation are the leading contributors to emissions, and the role that we play in terms of creating land use patterns and transportation alternatives is really key to be able to reduce those emissions, create opportunities for people to be able to choose other modes of transportation. This is really supported by initiatives such as our pedestrian plan, which we are taking to City Council on the 23rd of March for adoption, our bicycle transportation plan, our streetcar feasibility study, all of these in an effort to introduce more transportation alternatives and options to the city. We have a number of other individual initiatives that we'll likely bring forth to this commission to get your feedback and response. One of the biggest ones that we just recently kicked off is the Verdugo Wash Visioning Project. This is really trying to reimagine that concrete flood channel as being a multimodal transportation spine, but also an opportunity for us to reintroduce the natural habitat to the city. Are there opportunities for us to restore that riverbed, to add vegetation, to mitigate some of the urban heat island effect using this spine that will touch about 15 different neighborhoods and really connect a number of activity nodes around the community. So that's something, as we move through that visioning process, we expect to bring that back frequently to this commission to get your feedback on. We're also working on a number of sustainability initiatives and research along with David and his team, which includes considering lead strategies for downtown and potentially even wider range of developments in the city, looking at things like eco districts, lead neighborhood development, lead for cities, things of that nature. So we're really invested in those kind of transportation alternatives, trying to create responsible urban growth and making sure that future buildings and future development are sustainable.
Okay, thank you very much, Bradley. Ashton. Afshin, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good afternoon, commissioners, and congratulations on your appointment. My name is Afshin Bukai. I'm Deputy Director of Finance and responsible for the city's purchasing operation. Purchasing overall in the city of Glendale is responsible to, besides purchase of goods and services, we are also responsible to develop citywide procurement policies and strategies and maintain a relation with vendors and all the internal departments. As we all know, purchase of goods and services accounts for up to 55% of greenhouse gas emission of each government operation. So those policies and strategies can have significant impact on the environment. I'm looking forward to work with other staff members to bring forward any practical recommendation that we can make to improve our sustainability.
Thank you.
That's great, thank you. And then lastly, I guess myself, as our city manager said, the first sustainability officer here, I'm very excited to work with you as the commission as we go forward. And what we just tried to present to you a little bit today was an understanding of the intersectional work that this commission will have as we go forward. So yeah, so let's off to a great start, and it's congratulations and welcome to the City of Glendale and welcome to the first Sustainability Commission. So with that, we'll move on to item 2A of the agenda, which is the selection of a chairperson to serve 1-year term beginning March 2021. So do we have anybody who's going to nominate a commissioner for this role?
I was thinking it should be somebody whose term ends next year because Commissioner Pinkerton and I our terms don't end until 2024. So, like Alec, you've been on a commission before? Is that something you would be interested in as an experienced commissioner?
The 3 commissioners whose term ends in 2022 would be Commissioner Kanjian, Commissioner Kartunian, and Commissioner Borotso, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Those are the 3 who have terms that end in 2022 for the Commission's information.
Happy to suggest, perhaps if the commissioners are interested, to, in the spirit of us not knowing each other and just starting our connection at this very moment, that perhaps we entertain the idea of having a interim chairperson, perhaps for a month or 2 until we get our feet wet and get to know each other a little bit more. Doing that for a couple months and then perhaps having an appointed chair for the term. So I know that's within our powers based on what I've read in the commission rules. So I'd like to entertain that option personally.
I like that idea. As Alex said, most of us don't know a few of us know each other, but it seems a little premature to elect the chair. So yeah, interim or rotating, anyone seems acceptable to me.
So I'd like to second Commissioner Bartrusov's suggestion.
Okay, so who would you like to nominate to hold rotating chair?
I think the suggestion to start with Alec, since he has experience, would make sense. Guide us through at least right out of the port.
Second that, if Alec is willing.
Are you willing, Alec?
Am I the only person that has been on a commission?
Apparently so.
Okay, I would be honored and happy to help guide folks through the commission process. I'm happy to take on that role until we've made a permanent decision.
Okay, so can we do a roll call vote on that, please, Alec, to be interim chair of the commission? So, Commissioner Kartunian?
Yes.
Commissioner Kahanjian?
Yes.
Commissioner Pinkerton?
Yes.
Commissioner Werner?
Aye.
Congratulations, Alec. I now let you preside over the rest of the meeting. For your information, the next item is item 2B, election of a vice chairperson. I don't know how you wish to proceed with that.
I assume we'll want to take the same type of commission. So do we want to entertain a motion to have an interim vice chair until we've decided who we want our leadership to be for the next year?
So moved.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Do we have any recommendations?
Don't all raise your hands at once. I mean, I'll do it if no one else wants.
Fine by me if Rondi's interested.
I second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and second. Is this the appropriate time to take a roll call, or are we entertaining all? Do we take all questions at once, or we do one at a time, right?
We can take a roll call on this at this time.
Great.
Commissioner Bartrisov?
Yes.
Commissioner Kartunian?
Yes.
Commissioner Kahajian?
Yes.
And Commissioner Pinkerton?
Yes.
Congratulations, Commissioner Werner.
But Vice Chairperson Werner.
Vice Chairperson. I apologize.
Just kidding.
Okay, shall we take the next item on the agenda?
Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Obviously, there are no minutes to approve at this meeting.
All right, next item.
Next item is item 4, Sustainability Commissioners or staff comments.
Okay, any commissioners want to make a comment?
Alec, I wonder if it'd be useful, although our information's been publicly available, for us to state our primary areas of interest and background. Would that be helpful tonight?
Yeah, I think it's our opportunity to make a comment. So let's perhaps take this opportunity to let other commissioners know who we are and introduce ourselves to the public and staff who are listening. And anything else you'd like to share? Well, I can go first.
Okay.
I thought somebody would take this on, but I'm happy to do it. So my name is Alec Bartrosov. I'm very honored to be here with you on the Sustainability Commission. I am an urban planner by background. I am a transportation planner as a profession. I am planning at UCLA. And sustainability has been, at the forefront of my mind for a very long time. For those who perhaps are new to the community and were not aware or in tune about these issues in the past, I did start a tiny little group called Coalition for Green Glendale, over a decade ago, when I came out of college and moved back to Glendale. So it's very important for me. I think this is the fundamental issue of our time. And I think that the city of Glendale is now demonstrating to the people and by way of the staff that they're now hiring and the commissions that they're now spearheading, that this is now a priority for the city as well as its residents. So I'm happy to be here as somebody who can assist through my professional background on advancing some of these initiatives that are sustainability related, and working with you as commissioners and staff and leaning on your expertise on your respective backgrounds to do the same. Sustainability is inherently touches all aspects of life, and I think it's going to be on us as commissioners to remind people of that and remind ourselves and staff that everything that we do on a day-to-day basis, whether we're implementing policies or strategies or advancing programs, they all are intertwined and woven with sustainability as an objective, or should be, I should say. So in any case, happy to work with you all. I'm always available and accessible, whether it's through these meetings or privately. Looking forward to meeting you all and leaning on your guys' expertise.
Thanks, Alec.
Who would like to go next?
Shall we go alphabetically? Would that make it easier?
I can go next. I've been in public service. I've worked in public service for over 20 years now, on the federal side, on the state side, and I currently work for an investor-owned utility, Edison. And my priorities are going to be energy sustainability, transportation electrification, it was mentioned by Public Works earlier, urban forestry, and much needed access to parks in Glendale and trails. Those are going to be something that I'm passionate about and I look forward to working on. Ladies?
Since we're going in alphabetical order, I'll go next. I'm Aline Laura Kanjian. For the past 17 years, I've been an attorney in private practice. Of 15 of those 17 years, I've worked in Glendale, and I recently moved here last year. Okay. From a practical standpoint, I am most interested in increasing solar. Like Commissioner Cartoonian, I'm interested in increasing green space for our residents. Feels like our community has become very congested. And on another practical level, I'm also interested in implementing electric chargers, vehicle stations, things like that for our residents, seeing as that's the way that life is progressing at this time. Thank you.
I guess I'm next. Look forward to working with all of you and meeting those of you that I haven't met before. I'm an 11-year resident of Glendale. Locally, I'm a member of the Glendale Environmental Coalition Steering Committee. I've got about 30 years in the environmental field under my belt. I set up my first recycling center in high school, worked with the United Nations Environment Program many years ago. Also have some nonprofit background. I worked with Californians Against Waste. I was a regional director for the Recycled Paper Coalition. I had a consulting firm for about 10 years, and I primarily had municipal clients. Had LAX was one of my clients, LADWP was another. Primarily worked in green power and solar power and recycling. I've been a municipal employee with LA for about 14 years, I think now. Most of my background's in solid waste, recycling, zero waste. Luckily, I think I'll have some experience that will dovetail with what the city's confronting. I'm working on SB 1383. I know that's one of the most challenging pieces of legislation that I've seen introduced in California. Working on zero waste. I've done training through that. And I work a lot with the city council in LA. I'm the person that actually responds to most of the council motions on environmental issues, drafting reports and things. So here to help. Also, extensive background environmentally preferable purchasing. And I know that's something else that the city is tackling now. So hope to be able to bring some of what I've learned to assist the city staff in those areas. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rondi Werner. I've lived in Glendale for over 30 years and have also worked in Glendale most of that time. I'm a lead green associate and I'm working on the lead AP certification. I'm also a certified construction contract administrator and a certified construction specifier, where we work a lot on trying to find green products and low VOCs and that sort of thing. And I serve on many boards in Glendale, including the Adams Hill Neighborhood Association, Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council, Glendale Area Alumni Panhellenic, and I'm also a member of the San Fernando Valley chapter of Zeta Tau Alpha and a past national officer. I'm committed to the environment and have experience in research and education. During my 25 years or 24 and a half years at Walt Disney Imagineering, I helped green their master guide specifications and help them update their mechanical engineering standards of practice to roll in more sustainable practices. And I'm looking forward to working with such a esteemed group of fellow concerned citizens for the betterment of Glendale's sustainability.
Great. And with that, do we have any staff comments?
I do not have any comments.
Okay, shall we move on to the next item?
The next item is action items. Item 5A, adoption of procedure rules for the Sustainability Commission. 1. Resolution adopting procedural rules for the Sustainability Commission. Do you commissioners have any comments or questions?
I had a comment. I noticed that, or we talked about this a little bit while we were waiting for the call to start, but I know they're using the word chairperson in some cases, and in other cases it says chair. I think they should be consistent throughout the document, and they use the word chairperson or vice chairperson, as the case may be, consistent with the municipal code. And there's a couple of little like cleanup things on like typos and such. I could probably just send that to you as, since it doesn't change the meaning, maybe, rather than take up everyone's time. I should have added, I used to be a professional proofreader. It's my first gig at Disney.
One question, this is Haig, one question that I had on section 609, they mentioned subcommittees, and today there's not, we're not working on a whole lot to have subcommittees, but I think that option should be reserved in the future once we get specialized and we can work on different things at the same time. We don't all need to work on the exact same thing. We can come back to the meetings and vote on things, but in between meetings, we can probably, divide and conquer. I guess. Thanks.
Oh, there was also one other thing I was going to mention. If I may be on the item, let's see, it's paragraph D, public discussion on agenda items, which is part of Article 6, meeting agenda and procedure, where they talk about the public's ability to speak at meetings, and that the chairperson in their discretion may shorten or extend such time as they find reasonable under the circumstances. They need to reference the Brown Act in there, like they do on the following part where they talk about matters not on the agenda being able to be commented on for the Brown Act.
Commissioner Werner, if I could address your question, and members of the commission, perhaps a little bit of clarification. So the item D, which you're referring to, is public discussion on agenda items. Mm-hmm. The issue of the timing is within the discretion of the chair. It's a suggested 2 minutes. If the discussion ranges beyond the matter that's on the agenda, it is appropriate for the chair to ask that the individual's comments be limited to what is germane to the item being discussed on the agenda. Matters not on the agenda under Section 601, public comment can be very broad-ranging. It can be virtually regarding anything, and all are subject to the Brown Act. So if the commission desires to replicate the Brown Act language in Section D, they can. It doesn't further limit or expand the rules that govern the functioning of the commission pursuant to the Brown Act. But that's
it just seemed odd that it wasn't in D, and yet it was in the subsequent one for public comment. For matters not on the agenda.
Right, I understand. So that reference can be made in Section D. The rules under Section 101 General for the Commission's duties and actions, and all of these rules are subject to the Public Records Act, the Brown Act, and the Political Reform Act. So it's an overarching requirement within the rules. But we can put that in as a reminder if the Commission so desires. Any of the changes that are recommended by the Commission at the time a motion is made to adopt the rules, that would be subject to the comments made by the Commission. And we'll make those changes in the resolution if it's adopted.
Yeah, it just seemed odd to mention the Brown Act in one instance and not the other. I saw it at the top as an overarching thing. So, either that should suffice that it's overarching or it should be repeated in both of those similar circumstances.
We can repeat it.
One question that I had perhaps for our legal expert in the room is, I'll say specifically it's for the, let's see, Article 6 under the agenda section 600, is the order in which we have agenda items. So if the commission chose to rearrange the agenda items, the language says that we need to be consistent with the Brown Act. Does that mean we need to do that in advance of a meeting, or can it be done kind of in the middle of a meeting?
It can be done in the middle of the meeting. This is the published order. At the time of the meeting, for example, if there's an item for whatever purpose, such as a presenter, or there are several presenters, you could take the matter out of order. But this is just the published agenda. This is the agenda that the staff follow and prepare for the commission. But at that time, it's within the discretion of the chair and to take matters out of order unless there is an objection from the other members. So you have that latitude.
Got it. And just so the commissioners know why I'm asking that question is because having been subject to many city council and commission meetings in the past, I find it relatively frustrating to have to wait towards the end of a meeting to be able to make a public comment as a regular stakeholder. So, perhaps during my time as the interim chair, I would like to entertain, and it doesn't have to be at this meeting, but at future meetings, that we take public comment earlier on in the agenda so that somebody at home who's listening and has something really interesting they want to say or want to engage with the commission doesn't have to wait for an hour or two to make their 1 minute long comment. That was the reason why I'm asking, and I'm happy to hear that we can do that in the middle of the meeting and not have to rearrange the order in advance.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Barchesov. I know some city councils do that as well, depending on who's mayor at the time, but I think it's a good practice not to make the public have to wait for hours in order to make a comment. And since part of our mission is to engage the public, I think this is an effective way to do that.
But the other thing that we can do, Alec, is that instead of doing it one-off for each meeting, we can just make a permanent, change of order, and that way, it's 6 for every meeting in the future, regardless of the topic. That way, we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time there's a topic that we have, public comments on. Do we need to make separate motion on this to move it forward, or is this something that?
I would like to move that we permanently make the public comment at the beginning of the.
I'll second that.
Towards the beginning of the meeting.
I'll second that.
If I might ask for a point of clarification, the order of business as shown on page 7, that's under Article 6, Meeting Agenda and Procedure A. The oral communication, where would the commission prefer to have that placed? After the more routine matters such as roll call, pledge of allegiance, report regarding posting of the agenda, approval of minutes? It could be placed either before or after the Sustainability Commission and staff comments.
Yeah, I think that's the appropriate place. It's right after that.
So it would become the new E in this order.
Or the new number 5, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Would it be the new E or F?
It's 5 if you're looking at the packet. Yeah. Depends on what document you're looking at.
I'm modifying the rules, so
Oh, okay.
it would end up changing on the agenda packet when you see it. So it would be in your set of rules for your consideration, section 600. It would become the new E, and the Sustainability Commission and staff comments would become the new F, and it would be reordered from that point forward.
Okay, so the motion that was made earlier, was it for that specific change? Or should we move ahead with that motion?
Yes. What you could do is gather all of the comments from the various commissioners concerning the changes. I can summarize what those changes are, and then you could vote on the adoption of the resolution at the end with all the changes as agreed to by the various commission members. So that would be along with the change to a reference from chair and vice chair to chairperson and vice chairperson consistently throughout the document, as well as the inclusion of the reference to the Brown Act in the agendized public comment. Those are the three things I have so far.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Are there any other comments about this item from the commissioners?
Do we need to make a separate motion on the potential to have subcommittees in the future, or is that something just given?
That is a given part of the rules. You can set up ad hoc committees in the future when
Perfect. Thanks.
deems that it's appropriate to do so, to do those things as you've mentioned, to divide and conquer, so to speak, various topics.
Thank you.
Okay, great. If we don't have any other commissioner comments, does somebody want to make the motion to move forward, provided the changes that are about, or do you want to summarize the changes and then a motion is made to adopt those changes?
I'll make the motion.
If you'd like me to summarize them again, I'm
Second.
So.
Yeah, I think we understand. We just repeated them a minute ago.
Yes,
so.
I did.
Yeah, I second that.
Okay, if the commissioners don't need that to be repeated, we can go ahead and take a roll call.
You're muted, Mr. Jones.
My bad, apologies. Chairperson Bartram Sufa?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartoonian?
Yes.
Commissioner Kanjian?
Yes.
Commissioner Pinkerton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Commissioner Werner?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson, I apologize.
Okay, great. What's next on the agenda?
Next item in the agenda is action items 5B. Motion designating a sustainability officer or his or her designee as the official person for the custody and safekeeping of the official records, compliance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, related to the preparation and posting and distribution of agendas, minutes, and supporting materials as appropriate, and filing officer duties pursuant to the Political Reform Act of 1974. 1. Motion to designate the Secretary of the Sustainability Commission.
I assume that is you, Mr. Jones, that you would be the secretary of.
That is probably going to me, but also just want to inform the commissioners that Catherine Ross will be assisting me in taking minutes and recording votes.
So moved.
Second.
And I'll just say we're very much looking forward to working with you, David. I know before this commission you had a lot of work in your hands, and now after this commission you're going to have even more. My hope with this commission is that we play a very active role in giving you a bunch of work to do, but also helping you do that work as well. So very much looking forward to this. And if nobody has any additional comments, we can go ahead and do a roll call.
I look forward to the opportunity and challenge. Okay, roll call. Chairperson Bartrisov?
Yes.
Commissioner Kartunian?
Yes.
Commissioner Kanjian?
Yes.
Commissioner Pinkerton?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Werner?
Yes.
All right, let's move to the next item.
Action item 5C, procedure for the selection of the student ex officio non-voting members. 1. Resolution adopting a procedure to appoint student ex officio non-voting members to the Sustainability Commission.
Great. So I'm very much looking forward to the inclusion of students into this commission. I am not aware of other commissioners doing this, but for the simple fact that we are here to address sustainability and talk about the future of the planet and climate change, I think it's perfectly appropriate to have students and young folks as part of this mix. So I'm very much excited that we're doing this and can't wait to bring 2 additional members, students in particular, as part of having this dialogue with staff and commissioners and the public. Just as a simple reminder, if anything, to let people know that this is who we're doing this for.
Yeah, I have a comment in the spirit of not putting too much burden onto staff, like Commissioner Bartrisov was saying. I'm in favor of having an ad hoc committee of 2 commissioners, or if everyone wants to participate, that's fine too. I would be willing to serve on the committee. I have several years of experience screening college-bound high school seniors, applying for scholarships from the Glendale Area Alumni Panhellenic and through the UCLA Alumni Association. So, and to save time, I would like to recommend that the application that is used by the Commission on the Status of Women for their student commissioners be, repurposed and adapted to collect the information that specifically relevant to the Sustainability Commission.
Question, and Rondi, you might know this. How does the other commissions, how do they select these student ex officio members? I know
the form right here. I looked it up online. They collect obviously name, address, phone number. They want to know what school they attend. Of course, that's one of the requirements is that at least one of the students has to go to school in Glendale and at least one have to live in Glendale. Also, I'd like to add to that what year they are, since they have to be at least a junior. It collects their contact information, GPA. They want to know what school they'll be going to in the fall, and to list specific subjects that are applicable to the position. That seems worth keeping. And then whether they have any academic honors, awards, what clubs they might be in. And it also asks for them to attach a 250 to 500 word statement of interest and purpose, explaining their interest in the commission and their potential contributions. And it also asks for 2 letters of recommendation. So if, that's up for debate if we would like to make that 1 letter of recommendation or.
My question was, how would the student find out? Would this be something that we let the principals know and they disseminate it down to the counselors and students? Or, how does a senior at Glendale High School or Clark Magnet find out that there's this opportunity?
Commissioner Kartunian, if I may help answer that question. We will be reaching out to Glendale Unified School District and the other schools in the area, and we'll also be reaching out using our internal contact networks, whether that be social media or otherwise, to let as many students know that this position is available. We will be using the same infrastructure as the Commission for the Status of Women, and that's who we we based this resolution on that one. So we are confident that we will have students be interested. I've already been contacted. So I have no desire that we're going to have a lot of interest in this. One other thing, Chairperson, if I may, if you're going to establish, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Gillian, if you're going to establish an ad hoc committee, I advise that that be done sooner than later because we have a fairly tight timeline in which to get these students selected, understanding that their school year ends not too far distant from now. And so we want to be able to have them on board by the end of the school year so we can do any orientation over the summer so they'll be ready to start their role at the fall school year.
I am happy to volunteer with Vice Chairperson Werner to be on that ad hoc committee to interview students.
I'm also interested, unless that's too many people. I do that with the League of Women Voters, so similar function.
It can only be 2 members of the commission, otherwise it would violate the Brown Act.
Okay, all right, then I will withdraw.
I did, so I thought one of the options was to have the entire commission do the review. So I was also going to express interest. Sorry to have we're suckering you into being the 5th person.
I don't mind, but that would mean it's another public meeting that the staff would have to post, and because majority of us will be meeting. Can you correct? Am I right?
Yes, we can hear you. If I may respond to that, if the entire commission would be reviewing all the applicants, the question is how the initial screening, outreach, and selection should be made for the ultimate review by the commission. So the commission does have the option of allowing the staff to do outreach, soliciting all of those applications, compiling them for the commission, and presenting them all to the commission for review. And at a commission meeting, making a decision about who would subsequently be interviewed, or what that screening process should look like. These individuals, for example, are not qualified. Whether there are 2 or 3 that the commission would be interested in speaking with, and we could do that in an open session as a full commission.
So all of what you described would happen in an open meeting. Oh, interesting.
It would violate the Brown Act. That's why the subcommittee consists of 2 members.
Can the ad hoc committee not screen or make recommendations? Is that possible?
The purpose of the subcommittee would be to therefore just solicit applications.
Help with the outreach, I guess.
Just conduct the outreach.
Okay.
The commission can limit the function of the subcommittee to particular purposes.
Okay.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I don't mind the ad hoc suggestion specifically. I'm okay with that so long as the commission plays a role in the selection of the students.
Yeah, it might be a little awkward discussing the different applicants.
Yes,
in front of the whole world. A lot of them might be minors and that kind of thing. And this is
right.
Privacy, this sort of thing.
Point of clarification: are we looking both for high school and college level students?
Either, and they have to be at least a junior in high school, so they could be Glendale College.
Okay,
for example. And I think we should all be, posting it on our Nextdoor sites or whatever, means we have available to cast a wide net within the city.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments from commissioners?
So was everyone okay with that application, the status of women application, and basically just changing it to say sustainability and using that format that's already been developed?
Oh, sure. Why recreate the wheel? Yeah.
Exactly.
I haven't seen the application, but I'll defer to David just making the right judgment call based on other applications that are available to him.
I believe the application has a similar application as well, David.
I noticed the Commission on Status of Women form at the bottom. It has an email that says like women@glendalecA.gov. Will this commission be getting its own email address like that, like sustainability@glendale.ca or something like that?
We do. That email address does exist. Yes. So.
Okay, could you share what that is so like and us could know what it is? Because it's not currently on the website that I could find.
Yes, I believe it's sustainability@glendale.ca.gov, but I'll confirm that and I'll email you tomorrow with the actual address.
Okay. And David, quick question. How does that work? Because if there's one email for the entire commission, are all incoming emails forwarded to everyone's personal email?
I'll work with ISD to figure out how the best way for that to work is. But yes, it would work for that to happen. So it comes into that central address and then get dispersed to the commissioners from there.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so should we summarize what exactly we're moving forward with so that someone could make a motion? Yeah.
Move to establish an ad hoc committee for selection of the students.
And the committee, the ad hoc committee members would be mentioned as part of this motion, correct?
Yes.
Commissioner Chairperson Bart Soof and members of the commission, we have a resolution establishing a process. And that process would need to be amended. We could add the names of the appointees to this resolution for purposes of the ad hoc commission. Ad hoc student member selection committee is what it's called.
Okay.
So are we voting on a motion right now, or where do we leave it? I know I volunteered and Eileen. And
there's a resolution to adopt the process for selecting the two ex officio non-student members, and we can, if the commission so directs, add the names of the first commission members that are being selected as the ad hoc committee members for that selection process.
So is it adequate just to say so move to adopt the resolution?
As amended with the names of the two.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so was that a motion by you, Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not elegantly worded, but.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, let's, well, technically we would have a discussion now, right? If there was a second. Does anybody have any comments or anything before we do a roll call?
Can we clarify again? So the ad hoc committee is going to be interviewing these students, but there's going to be input in selecting these students from the entire committee. Is that correct?
That is the way the process is set up currently in the resolution, yes.
So would every candidate get interviewed, or would staff narrow it down to the top? I'm just saying, if there's 100 people, like that's a lot of interviews. So do they narrow it down to the top 20 or so, and then those are interviewed?
Commissioner Werner, if I might, and members of the commission. So there are 4 qualifications set forth in the resolution. That would be an initial screening. That does include having knowledge of sustainability, environmental sciences being considered, and a willingness to participate in and to serve on the commission. So that provides flexibility to the reviewers in terms of the initial qualification applications. That would be the initial screening by the ad hoc committee. And that would occur prior to, the application period would close on May 15th. The screening process as set forth in the resolution would ensure the candidates meet the minimum qualifications that are set forth in Section A of the resolution. And then it gives the ad hoc committee the latitude to select 2 or more of the most qualified candidates who would be invited to be interviewed by the selection committee or by staff if so directed. The number of top candidates selected for interviews shall be within the discretion of the selection committee, or if staff is directed to undertake the screening and interview process, then within the reasonable discretion of staff. The selection committee would recommend for appointment the 2 candidates for appointment to the entire Sustainability Commission. That's the way that the resolution is set up now. So that the screening and the choice of who to present to the entire commission would be within the discretion of the ad hoc committee. But you can change those rules if you so desire.
Okay. Oh, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to cede that discretion to the ad hoc committee. My particular concern, and I'll just say this to the commission and leave it at this, is that we should have the application tailored to understand and confirm their qualifications based on what we have in our procedures. And I would hope that we are not going after students that are the valedictorians and the 4.0s of the students. I was a 3.0 kid and I was a troublemaker. I'm very much interested in sustainability, and that's my passion. So I'm hoping that the ad hoc committee can factor in the kids and students' interest in the subject matter and not be distracted by factors. So if I'll just say that, and I'll support that simple recommendation that we just go with the ad hoc. They do the further screening, and the commission takes the final step selecting who it's going to be.
You know, just so you know, my background in screening applicants includes a holistic evaluation that looks at things like what obstacles the student may have had to overcome in their lives. You know, because some people grow up with more privilege than others. They have more social connections. They can have more impressive, experience with internships through their parents, friends. So I'm very committed to the whole social equity piece of it, and looking at a student within the context of what means they have available to where they are and so on, and strictly beyond GPAs or accolades or something like that.
It might be interesting too if you go ahead with the written portion of it. Just ask. I know I've seen interview questions. Write a short essay on what you think is the most challenging environmental issue confronting the city or the state, something like that, because then you'll get a little more insight into the areas of interest.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Conjian and I could come up with specific questions, so we're using the same metric and scoring the right applications.
Great. Well, if there's no other comments, I will. I'm happy to make the motion to move ahead with the recommendation to go with the process we've discussed, which is to have the ad hoc do the initial screening and come to the commission once that is done.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, if it is the preference of the commission, certain information could be added to these rules. I would like to ask for some clarification. So for under recruitment and application, there are 3 points. A fourth point could be added pertaining to what the application should include. And I did hear some various comments from the commission members. If it's the preference of the commission, you can add some language there concerning what the application at a minimum should include beyond the qualifications that are set forth. As being a Glendale student, high school student, attaining at least junior standing with a knowledge of sustainability, environmental sciences.
Well, there was also the 250 to 500 word essay, which is basically the statement of interest and purpose, explaining their interest in the commission and their potential contributions, and 2 letters of recommendation. That's if we were following with the.
I can add that language as a point number 4 under recruitment and application. That was the desire of the commission. The second point was in the screening and selection process. Under item 3, the screening process shall ensure candidates meet the minimum qualifications under section A and take a holistic, the ad hoc committee shall take a holistic approach in evaluating the candidates. That seems like a comprehensive way to address a concern that only a 4.0 candidate would be considered. So if that language is appropriate, that can be amended into the rules for the selection of the student commission members.
Yes.
Okay, if there's no other comments, who would like to make the motion based on what we've just heard?
I'll make the motion to move forward on.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, shall we have a roll call?
Chairperson Bartrusov?
Yes.
Commissioner Kartunian?
Yes.
Commissioner Kanjian?
Yes.
Commissioner Pinkerton?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Werner?
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Okay, shall we move on to the next item?
The next item on the agenda is item 6, reports information, a Sustainability Commission annual work plan. 1, motion directing staff to commence the preparation of the annual work plan.
All right, do we have any comments or questions from the commissioners?
Let me throw a couple comments out here, if I may. I'm wondering if we need to, I mean, we have a variety of backgrounds here, a variety of interests, but I see us here to help, primarily to help the city departments, but also to nudge the city in certain directions. Would it be useful to first meet with the various departments and sort of survey them as far as their top priorities, identifying areas in which they might need input? The work plan seems a little vague to me at this point, a little premature, but I almost feel like we need a baseline. We need a baseline against which we can make plans rather than developing these independently of what the city departments, excuse me, are actually engaged in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Pinkerton as well. The Green or Glendale plan, for example, is a few years old, and there was a goal of achieving certain targets by 2020. I was wondering if we achieve those goals or not, and if not, then where are we? But maybe having something to start with so that we know how to measure success of whether we're achieving anything.
To make the process a little quicker, but if we each take a department, the interview process can go a lot faster. Each of us can interview the department director and gather, information for the next meeting.
So if I may, we have, regarding the Green and Glendale plan, we have done an internal analysis on that, identifying the action items in those plans, what we have achieved, what we haven't achieved, and where we're going. So we are able to provide that updated information to the commissioners. And I think the work of city departments and what they're doing is important. And that work is often disseminated through some of the other commissions, but within the work plan, we can do study sessions, so provide the commissioners a little bit of greater depth of knowledge of what the different departments within the organization are doing. In terms of developing the work plan and understanding priorities of staff and time of staff, one of our priorities over the next 12 months is to develop the climate action plan, undertake the greenhouse gas inventory and go through that process. So I just wanted to make sure the commissioner understood that as a priority area for staff and how that would influence the development of the work plan of the commission. So,
Dave, could you refresh my memory? Are you going to an outside firm for your GHG inventory in order to get it certified, but are you developing the CAP entirely in-house?
It is our intention at this point to have a consultant to assist us in both projects.
Oh, okay.
So there isn't a consultant on board now, or one will?
No, no, there is not at this stage. We're in the process, I'm in the process of starting to develop the RFP. So we're at the beginning stages, unfortunately.
David, to come back to what Commissioner Pinkerton had mentioned earlier, instead of the department just telling us this is our priority during the next year, it would be nice for us to interview them and say, how about looking at a different angle, or have you thought about doing X versus Y? We should be able to gather information before we jump in and start working on it. It shouldn't be just staff recommendation, go ahead and work on it. So it should be a two-way exploration.
No, it's definitely, yes, without a doubt, we can work. That we don't want, yes, we don't want to be a one-way street either way, right? So it has to be, we have to understand what staff resources are, and we have to understand what your goals are as a commission too. So I think through that process, through the collaborative process, we will be able to develop the plan.
And just to further complicate things, let me throw this out. I know there are other commissions. GWP has its own commission, right? But sustainability touches on everything. Transportation, electrification, MSW. I mean, there is no area in which it's not involved. Have staff or have the other commissioners given thought to, should we meet with the other city commissions and also hear about what they're envisioning? I know that adds a whole nother layer to this process, but it would be nice. I mean, because how do we draw the lines? We don't want to intervene, but we also have valuable input on electrification, GHGs. I helped draft the LA's first CAP, Climate Action Plan, many, many years ago. So is there any value in, and I know you with your background as with Edison undoubtedly are involved in some of this, but is there any thought given to interfacing with the other commissions at some point, if only to find out what their priorities are possibly?
I was thinking the same thing. I think we should, each meeting, in fact, Alec and I had a chat about this a while back, but we should have a different commission at each one of these meetings, be invited and share their pain points with us. And we have to find our ways, basically, because we don't want to overlap with what someone else is doing. So it's important to have, some outreach, basically, to kind of see how we can work together going forward and jointly, so that we're not stepping on toes, but then not repeating what someone else is doing, and get just figuring out where we can maximize our hopefulness.
Right.
How do we add value, basically?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, and I know that there is concerns that, yes, the Commission's work doesn't bleed over into each other. So I think there is absolute value in meeting some of the other commissions, understanding what their work, and that was also the thought process, if I may, the thought process by initially focusing the Commission's work on the Climate Action Plan to provide that, not so much direction, but to provide that focus area of work, if you will. So.
Yeah, and, I'll say, with respect to the work plan, a couple of the commissioners already mentioned this, that, the work that, I anticipate doing as part of this commission does inherently intertwine with all of the commissions, quite frankly, all of the commissions and all of the city departments. And, my goal, through this commission is that all of us are exposed to every single element and department and what they're doing to advance sustainability and address climate change issues within our city. So, you may regret having this written in our procedural guidelines, but we have this section, relationships between sustainability and other commissions, and perhaps it would be, too cumbersome to join commissions and have a meeting together. But at the very least, we should advising on items that are going to other commissions that pertains to sustainability. And with you, that's a lot. And, if Transportation and Parking Commission, which I served on, is talking about bus rapid transit or the pedestrian plan or anything to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, frankly, I feel should also fall under our purview. And we should also be advising the council as the other commissions are. So I don't know what that's going to look like in practice. That sounds daunting to me, but at the same time, it seems necessary. So I don't know how to reconcile that. It's going to be a challenge, but hopefully.
Perhaps a representative from, like in turn, not all at once, but like each commission sends a representative to our meeting to discuss on behalf of that commission what their areas of interest are, what their pain points are, if you will. But we don't have two joint, like a joint meeting, like the way council and housing authority are joint meetings, but just where they send someone and we are able to hear from them.
Yeah, and I think it's important as we ultimately look to establish our targets for decarbonisation, for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, whatever they may be, it is going to be internally, it's going to be key for us to work with those other departments that they inform the development of the climate action plan as we go forward. So yeah, so I think that cross communication is vital. But to your point, Chairperson, how do we effectively do that? It's going to take some thought.
So what is, perhaps it's helpful to hear from you, David, rather than us trying to figure out what exactly this work plan should look like. Is what is your intention with the work plan, and how do you envision the commission interfacing with that work plan for the next year?
So I think the intention of the work plan is to align the desires and wants of the commission with some of our internal priorities, so that we're working towards the same end goals. So as we're putting the plan together, I think you may be asking us to work on specific areas that are a priority and are important for the commission. And that will help us internally and me internally establish some of my work goals too, and then also to let the commission know what time and what availability I have to work on some of those priority areas. So I think what we ultimately want to be able to present to City Council at the end is, in essence, joined up thinking, pushing forward our sustainability agenda and not having staff and commission work at odds in developing our goals and where we want to go. So it's just trying to be as transparent as possible in the development of this process, and making sure that, as I said, I'm repeating myself, but making sure that the internal parties within the organization and the commission have an idea of what we want to achieve within this year's work.
So
you're right, we could be doing so much, and we don't have necessarily the staff resources to do that so much, but understanding what EDD is doing, understanding what GWP is doing, can make us a lot more efficient, which is part of the role of this of this job, the sustainability officer job, is to how do we become most efficient in implementing our sustainability plans. So I think it's all working towards that the end goal.
So knowing that, I assume, I'm going to venture to guess that our main objective is going to be to adopt some sort of climate action plan for the city. So how does the work plan, it seems to be two parallel items that perhaps are overlapping.
Okay.
So
I think, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think the work plan is the work that the commission can help the city in the development of its climate action plan, and where can the work that the commission wants to do help us influence and develop that plan. So I don't see it as parallel. I see it as assisting us as an organization trying to achieve the best climate action plan we can achieve. Councilman Brockman is on the line, so if you'd like me to put him through.
Please.
Councilmember Brockman?
Yes.
You're on the air.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Brotman, and I just couldn't help but call in to say how thrilled I am that this commission is up and running. I want to congratulate all the commissioners. You're an awesome group of people. I watched you give your bios, or very brief renditions of your bios, and I can tell that you're going to complement one another really beautifully. I know some of you, Alec, Jennifer, and Rondi, I know personally. I don't yet know Commissioner Cartoonian or Commissioner Kanjian, so hoping to get to know you down the road. Expecting great things from this commission. I also want to thank David and Jillian for taking this on. Not that you had much choice, but whatever. And I hope this is an active commission that plays a real role in fleshing out ideas and recommending policy for council. And I also hope that it helps David and Jillian rather than just gives them more work, because I don't think they can take more work. So the idea is to take work off their plate, not just put it on. Anyway, it's not an exaggeration to say that the future or the fate of the future generations of Glendalians are in your hands. So again, just want to say I'm excited and really gonna watch your work and look forward to seeing what you accomplish.
Thank you, Councilmember Brotman, for championing this, the formation of this commission. Too, we wouldn't be here without your efforts to help green Glendale, and that hasn't gone unnoticed.
Or yours. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilman.
Well, let me throw out one idea, if I may. The Climate Action Plan obviously has to touch on areas in which we all have background. I mean, we're going to have to look at renewable energy, right? Energy efficiency. We're going to have to look at transportation. MSW, solid waste, it contributes a lot. Would it be helpful if we start putting together bullet points for those different subject areas, because those all will be part of the Climate Action Plan? Or do you have a model cap that we could use as a template? I'm just trying to see how we can start assisting you. But are you also at the same time reaching out for your cap? Are you reaching out to your Transportation Commission in addition to the Transportation Department? Dave, are you soliciting input from both, for example? How do you see this unfolding?
Excellent questions. And I feel like a little bit of a deer in the headlights here.
Sorry.
No. Yes, we do need to be reaching out to the other departments. We do need to be reaching out to the other commissions. Until we've completed our baseline greenhouse gas inventory, that's obviously going to provide us direction on priority areas. But you're right, we know transportation is going to be involved. We know solid waste is going to be involved. So I don't see any harm in us beginning to coalesce around some of those areas and understanding what best practices are in those areas, and beginning to undertake that research, and also beginning to understand what the County of LA is doing and what our sister cities are doing too, because us doing a climate action plan in isolation,
right,
strikes to me as not the most effective effort either. So I think we need to look at all those variables.
Okay.
Many years ago, I attended a meeting that was Glendale, Pasadena, and Burbank all together discussing the climate. Do those meetings still take place? Because I haven't heard of one since, but if they're not meeting together, then they're kind of missing an opportunity there, because obviously greenhouse gases don't stop at the borders of the city. What one city generates can waft into the next city and so on. So I know there's some shared ownership of utilities even and things like that. So I believe Glendale owns part of the Burbank power plant, for example. So it seems like we could be partnering with them, or so we're not all inventing the wheel.
Absolutely. And I don't mean to talk out of turn, but I have to confer, but I believe Councilmember Brotman is on such a group, but I would have to verify that.
Okay. To Vice Chair Werner's comment, Alec and I have both been in contact with members of Burbank Sustainability Commission, because, you know, the airport is in common to the 3 cities. And I think their redevelopment plan is on hold at this point, but they have expressed interest in collaborating with us when we can. Not to add another layer of complexity to this, but I don't know, that just strikes me as that if we could start compiling possibly ideas to go into the CAP on different subject areas, you know, which we have expertise in. For Vice Chair Werner, you know, lead experience. I mean, the city currently does not have a low impact development ordinance. Don't believe, so, you know, suggestions in that arena might be something where your work could, you know, your background could coalesce. To ensure that, you know, the building codes are as strong as they could be.
Yeah, and as the city manager alluded to, you know, this what you're here for, to help us with these and present us these ideas and
right.
You know. So yeah, I think that would be
go ahead.
For me, that'd be very beneficial to work with the commission on looking at developing those ideas and.
Yeah, so I would say, you know, based on how you explained your intention with the work plan and how we'll be functioning as a commission, I'm wondering to myself if it, you know, you're not experts in every single field. I think it would be helpful to have study sessions from all of the departments. So that we can then react and learn and understand what their priorities are, to then form our own opinion about what we think should be done. So, you know, that might be helpful for you to kind of understand what our priorities are going to be, and how we can interface with each of the departments to push them and advocate on their for them to be more environmentally friendly. So, you know, my true intention is that these study sessions will be comprehensive. The directors will be able to come to us with a robust plan for addressing climate change and frankly telling us what their challenges are. So, you know, the sky's the ideas that we come up with as a commission, but in the end of the day, we're talking dollars and cents and what the constraints of the city is. And so if the city is going through a budget process and all of the directors to come forward with their annual plan and the associated costs with that, perhaps we can help them identify ways in which they should prioritize those funds in the lens of climate change. So I think that can only be done through study sessions that involve the directors coming to the commission and explaining where they're at, where we are at as a city. And through that process, over time, per month, as we see each department, we're able to come up with some kind of comprehensive idea for what our own priorities are, the commission's priorities, and hopefully give through that process, that learning process, for a climate action plan. That's the only way that I see it working, and so that's what I would like to see. Is to hear from the directors, because they have so much institutional knowledge. They understand their budgets. They know what's happening, what needs to happen today, and what their constraints are. So I'd love to meet them one-on-one and hear what they have to say on this topic. I don't know if that jives with your vision for a work plan, but just based on how I'm feeling this conversation, that's appropriate.
And if I may add one procedural comment or question, I don't know if this is for Dave or Jillian. I know this only through the GEC that the Parks Department, for example, was considering artificial turf, which has, you know, negative environmental impacts. So I know there are reports issued by departments to the other commissions. Is it possible for us, are we allowed to get copies of those reports at the same time they go to those individual commissions because that might be the best way, A, to find out what their top priorities are, as Alec was referring to. Just a procedural question that would get us better into loop as far as the work that's going on in other departments.
And that's also my responsibility is to, to make sure that I understand what's going across organizational wide and be able to provide you that information too. But yes, I don't, as reports are written, where it comes to sustainability, collating that information, I don't see an issue with that.
Okay.
Chairperson and members of the commission, one of the things that occurs at the city council meetings is a preview of upcoming agendas.
Okay.
It might be something worthwhile for the commission to consider as part of staff comments, that an agenda preview, not only of the upcoming items for the commission's consideration, but also what the upcoming items are on other boards and commissions that would help the commission understand what their work plans are, so to speak,
sure.
what their agenda items are. So that's something, that's a review or a preview that could be provided to this commission that I think would be useful for their.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Sorry.
But I think that would be particularly useful on the commission side. I know that when items go to council, it's, I'm within the city family. I've been here long enough. When something is previewed as an agenda item, it's too late. There's no substantive opportunity to make a change or make suggestions or consider alternatives. So I appreciate the sentiment. I wonder if it's more helpful as it goes to the committee, so that we have ample opportunity to perhaps suggest that it comes to our commission as well, to send our recommendation to council before it goes to council. Those are the things I think of when as you were speaking.
My only suggestion there is that each commission is responsible for setting its own agenda and its own work. So I think in discussion with the other commissions, how that information is transferred is something that needs to be discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So does anybody have any other questions or comments about the way in which this work would move forward?
Well, given that our mission is pretty broad, I could visualize us with our diverse areas of expertise doing some dividing and conquering on some of this, like us taking different things that we're interested in and have the background in, and chasing those down, so we're not all trying to do everything, just sort of dividing it up into more manageable plans at some point.
Agreed.
And I was just going to say, you're also at a disadvantage for being a brand new commission, right? There's no institutional knowledge to be passed on to you. So I think, Chairperson, I think the idea of having the study sessions, I think that's really valuable, and we can work to set those up. So you have the information that you need going forward, and I think that will very much help us to develop a much more effective work plan for the commission and for staff. And we also have an internal sustainability working group, which I think she'll probably present to you.
Oh, sure.
Because the role of that group is to make sure that the institutional knowledge regarding sustainability and environmental efforts is shared between the different organizations, so we know what's going on within the organization. So I totally agree that information collection is a key first step, as it were, to the work plan, is to do that.
Yeah, I think that's what's challenging about, our objective and frankly, your role as the sustainability officer, is that, you don't have direct oversight over the directors and their departments. You know, you are a collaborator, and we as a commission should be relying on you and the directors to say, these are the things we're working on, these are the challenges, these are the constraints. And I believe that our commission would be making an informed decision based on what these directors are telling us. I don't think it's fair to suggest that all of that is on your shoulders as a sustainability officer. That's just impossible to do. So I'll suggest that our work plan include comprehensive study sessions with every single department within a city. And I don't know how the months work out and how many departments there are, but hopefully within the first 12 months, we have a very thorough and intimate understanding of our city bureaucracy and departments and how they function, so that we as a commission are well informed and can come up with our own recommendations to council on how to move forward with such a monumental task. So that's my recommendation for a framework for this work plan.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I've been making notes for the commission on various objectives that would be the direction that staff would receive, because there is a motion for the commission's consideration directing staff to commence preparation of the annual work plan. What I've heard is that there's an information gathering phase that's critical to the functioning of the commission. And that involves learning through study sessions what the various priorities, challenges, and opportunities, and including budget priorities of those departments would be. So that would be part of your information gathering stage. That would also include hearing from the internal sustainability working group. Being provided with a status update on the Greener Glendale plan to learn whether or not the 2020 goals have been met. To bring back a bullet point framework for the climate action plan, and also to learn the status of the Tri-Cities Sustainability Working Group, whether or not that it still exists, what the status of it is. Outside of that would be explore collaboration with Burbank Sustainability Commission. And there was a consideration as well of examining the city's building code and alternatives to the current building code that would incorporate sustainability factors. So those are some of the things that I'm seeing that are both part of, or that I've heard so far from the commission, that are part of the information gathering phase, and also appear to be directives of the commission to provide additional information and directives on particular points that would be incorporated into the annual work plan.
Sure, and if we're getting detailed, I'd like to add Metro as another area of interest. You know, our Measure M and Measure R local return dollars do amount to millions and millions of dollars that come from Metro to the city. And because transportation is so inherently related to sustainability, I believe we should be well informed with how those dollars are spent, so that we ensure that as a commission and as a city, we are allocating those dollars with sustainability in mind. So that will probably come through our transportation team, through the Public Works Department as part of their study session. But I want to highlight it as something that is important, because it is a lot of money that does come to the city, and we have discretion over how it's spent.
Just to reiterate, through this process, once we've completed your plan, that will be going to City Council for their blessing too. So it's a multiple step process. So I just wanted to.
Thank you.
Okay, does any other commissioners have questions or comments about the work plan? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I move that we vote to adopt the work plan outline as summarized by Jillian. Will that suffice as a motion?
Well, and with the addition of what Alex said about the
yes, the measurement part. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Second.
Only a change that I would suggest, Jillian mentioned that we should meet with and collaborate with Burbank Sustainability. It shouldn't just be Burbank. It should be neighboring cities, including Burbank.
Thank you. Yes.
So noted. Staff is taking notes on all of the comments of the commissioners.
And thank you for doing that. I can understand how challenging that could be with so many comments coming in. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Should we go ahead with the roll call?
Chairperson Bartosif?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartoonian?
Yes.
Commissioner Kajanian?
Yes.
Commissioner Pinkerton?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Werner?
Yes.
All right, next item on the agenda.
That would be oral communications. Chairperson, we do not have any phone calls at this time.
Very well. Next item on the agenda.
Sustainability Office updates. I don't have any updates above and beyond what we've discussed today at this time.
Very well. All right. I guess we'll move on to the next item.
Item 9 is adjournment of the meeting.
That would be a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.